Now we are going to do the same problem solving using bar models, subtraction model. Question number 3. This is the last sum we are going to solve. I'll just read the question. Let's start the sum. A large bookstore needs to keep 1500 copies of the dictionary in stock. Okay, so that means a bookstore needs 1500 copies of dictionary books. Next, it presently has 970 copies in stock. In stock, 987. So, it presently has 987 copies. 987 copies in stock. That means in the bookstore, 987 dictionary copies in the store. Okay, that is what they're given. How many more copies does it need to reach the number of dictionaries it needs to have? So, how many more copies they needed, the store needed? Okay, that is what you have to find out, or we have to find out. Stock needed a large bookstore, that is 1500 copies. So, a store there is a very large bookstore. It needed 1500 dictionary copies. Number of dictionary copies needed is 1500. So, number of copies, that is number of copies means number of dictionary copies needed in the large bookstore, that is 1500. That is called 1500. And that is what dictionary copies is 1500 I have written already. And present number of copies at present in the large store book, that is large store, that is how many books present, means how many books are present in the store. That means 987 dictionary copies are present at present in the bookstore. That is, again I will repeat, that is 987 dictionary copies are present in the large store book. Okay, large store, not book, large store. Okay, large store. That is 987. Number of copies is 987 copies are present in the store. 987. I'll repeat, keep on. 987 dictionary copies are present in the large store. Okay, next. So, more copies to be needed in the bookstore. So, what is this? How many more copies are needed in a store? So, how many more copies means, that means remaining copies, how many copies are needed? How many copies are needed hereafter? That means remaining copies are how many? That is the question. So, how many remaining copies are needed to the store? That means more copies to be needed in the bookstore. So, 1500 minus 987 you have to subtract. This is total number of copies a bookstore needed. This is present copies, 1500 and dictionary books. 1500 dictionary copies are needed in the large bookstore. Next, 987, that is present copies are in the store, and after that you have to subtract from 1500 to 987 the remaining books, that is called as how many more books are needed. That is what I have written, more copies to be needed in the bookstore. So, you have to subtract. So, this is ones and this is tens, this is 100 and 1000. You have to write the place value as it is. So, 0 minus 7 you can't subtract. Okay. So, and again 0 minus 8 you can't subtract because it's not enough to subtract. 0 is a smaller number. So, I have to borrow from 100 place. So, what is the number in 100 place? 5. So, what I am going to do? So, I have to borrow from 1. So, this 5 becomes 4 and this tens place 0 becomes 10. Now, I am going to borrow 1 10 from this place. So, 10 become 9 and this what? 0 become 10. So, 10 minus 7, I have told you already backward counting after 7 up to 10. So, 8, 9, 10. So, that is 3 you have to write it here. So, 9 minus 8 in the tens place I am going to concentrate. So, 9 minus 8 you know that is 1. And again 4 minus 9, 4 is a smaller number. So, you can't subtract from 9. So, 4 is not enough to subtract. So, you have to borrow from 1000 place. So, I have to borrow 1. So, I have to borrow from 1 means this 4, 100 place 4 become 14. So, 14 minus 9, that is after 9 up to 14 you have to count, that is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So, you have to write 5. So, 513 copies, more copies to be needed in the bookstore. So, this much of copies. This is more copies. That is a number of copies, and how many more copies are needed in a bookstore means 513 copies. 513 copies are needed in a bookstore. So whether the answer is right or wrong means you have to find out. Check this answer. So 513 plus already present copies are 987. This is more copies, needed copies, more copies needed, or needed copies, whatever it may be. So needed, sorry, NEEDED, needed, more copies needed, and this is present copies. Present copies. Present copies. So both you have to add. So 3 plus 7, 10, 0, carryovers go to the top. 8 plus 1, 9, 9 plus 1, 10, 0, carryovers go to the top. So what, 9 plus 5, 14, 14 plus 1, 15. So 9 plus 5, 14, 14 plus 1, 15, 1500 or 1500. You can get the what, exact total number of copies. So this is total number of copies, and this is a present copies, this is more copies needed. So the answer is more copies to be needed in a bookstore is, you have to subtract from 1500 to 987. You can get this answer 513. This is the right answer for the question. So 513 copies are needed in a bookstore. This is the right answer.